Hello creatives, I'm Penn from thecreativepenn.com, and today I'm talking about something very dear to my heart, which is fear of judgment. And this is something that I've come up against a number of times in my writing career, particularly when I was writing this book, Desecration. Now, so what is fear of judgment? So there's a number of things. It's that feeling of like, I can't write this. I can't even think this. Why am I thinking this? What will people think of me when I put this book into the world? You know, I'm a nice girl or I'm a nice boy, and, you know, what will my loved ones think of me? What will my partner think of me, my boyfriend, girlfriend, my mother-in-law? What will my friends think of me? And then what will people I've never met think of me? All of these things are fear of judgment, the fear of what others will think, and even what we will think. Now, one of the really important reasons for tackling this is that Desecration was actually the first book where I really let my voice, my author voice, come out on the page. And this book really changed my writing life, because I think at this point, and this was my 5th novel, that I actually got over fear of judgment. Now, it's still there, and I've talked about self-doubt in a different video. I don't think I'll ever stop slightly worrying about what other people think about me, but I'm not going to let it stop me writing. And this is important because there are things inside us that we need to let out on the page. Our most powerful writing can sometimes come from the subconscious, the things we press down in normal life, the things that we wouldn't necessarily say in polite conversation, maybe things that our friends and our family don't even know about us. So what are some of the ways you can deal with the fear of judgment? So first of all, understand that the book is not you. And if someone doesn't like your book, it doesn't mean that they are judging you. Now, this can be very hard, but it does get better with the more books that you write. If you only have one book, then you will be very emotionally connected to it. But if you write more books, then over time, that body of work becomes much more robust. And when people kind of try and attack it, then you're much stronger in yourself. So that would be the first tip, is write more books. And of course, if there's a topic that you really know that you want to write about, but you're not quite brave enough yet, then maybe save that for another book, but make sure you get there. So the other thing is to find people who appreciate who you really are. Now, I'm super lucky. My husband's very understanding. So in this book, Crypt of Bone, I took him on a very romantic trip to Paris, and then we went to the catacombs where there are millions of bones and skulls. And also when we went to Prague on another romantic weekend, we ended up in an ossuary with a load of bones. Now, he understands that darker side of me, and I know I'm super lucky to have someone who supports me so much, and I know many people don't have that. But what you can do is find a community online. So I, as JF Penn, as my fiction self, I am into the kind of morbid curiosity and death culture and skeletons and that type of thing. So I know I can find my peeps online on the different channels about that type of thing. Whereas I know my friends in real life, and certainly my family, don't really understand that slightly more macabre side of me. And in fact, most of my friends and family have not read my books, and I probably wouldn't want them to. So often we get sort of het up with wanting the people that we love to love what we do in our art, but so often they don't. So if you can find friends online, join writers groups, join Facebook groups, find other people who love what you do, and they will understand you, and that will really help you, because many of those people will also be afraid of judgment and will have other people in their lives judging them too. Another important aspect is understanding that the shadow side and learning about your shadow side, embracing that, is psychologically healthy. So I'm very much into psychology. I studied psychology, and Carl Jung's idea of the shadow is something that fascinates me, and I will be writing a non-fiction book at some point on the shadow side and how we can use it in our writing. But I often say that the most psychologically healthy people I know are horror writers because they actually take the fear and the dark side of them and they put it on the page. And often when we write down the things that scare us, they lose their power. So this is why I think writing can be incredibly powerful and healthy for you to get out some of the things that you might be judged for if you talked about it. But if you write about it, even if you fictionalize it, it can become the best way, the best cathartic experience. Then, of course, your fear of judgment may be totally justified. And for example, most erotica authors will write under a pseudonym, and many romance authors write under a pseudonym. And in fact, there are, lots of people write under a pseudonym for this very reason. They don't want the added hassle of being judged for what they're writing, or they don't want people they know to find out what they're writing. So using a pseudonym can be a really powerful way to still write what you want to write, but kind of not disown it, but put it behind a veneer so that you can take a step back and it will protect you in that way. And then finally, I want to quote from Elizabeth Gilbert, whose fantastic book, Big Magic. I absolutely love it. And in her book, she says, "The reaction to your art does not belong to you, and that is the only sane way to create." That is just so important. We have to keep creating. We have to put our art out into the world. And other people's reactions to it, well, we can't control that. We can only control what we put out there. And, you don't want to die with your art still inside you. So if there's something that you're not putting out in the world for fear of judgment, then I hope that this video has helped you today. It's certainly something that I often struggle with, even with these things like these videos. What will people say about it? So I would really love your comments below the video, and also your questions and thoughts on fear of judgment, and suggestions for future videos, because I think these topics are so important. And so often, people get obsessed with, grammatical mistakes and typos and things like that in writing, whereas the bigger issues are inside of us, and those are the things that can help us create more. So if you need any other help with the psychology of writing and the roller coaster of what being a creative is all about, then check out the Successful Author Mindset, available in ebook, print, audiobook and workbook formats. And of course, I would love to hear from you in the comments, and I'll be back soon with another video, so subscribe to the channel and I'll see you next time.